What's up? Um, no, just another day, another dollar, right? No, I was looking at the situation, how it presented itself. Somebody had brought this up a while ago, and he wanted to know. He thought it was very weird how Jay ended up with Def Jam, and if Big was alive, he probably wouldn't end up on Def Jam. And I think the Def Jam deal was probably in the mix, but nothing was in play without Big, without Puffy being on board. Um, they weren't interested in Jay. Jay was the guy. Like they didn't want Smooth the Hustler. They didn't even want Jay Z. They wanted Jay to be the writer for Foxy Brown, just write the songs. Because what you didn't understand is at that time, and by the way, hit the like button too. Yeah, and subscribe to the page. Yeah, they had Clark Kent and all those guys at that time. They were talking about how ill Jay was, and Smooth the Hustler, and all these other rappers. Mike Geronimo hadn't named haven't come up yet, but it was just underground artists. Just to mention, like they were on the cusp, and they were on the come up at that time, and that were the young voices. And the record companies at this time was like, I don't know, should we take a risk? Should we not take a risk? Because at this time, a lot of them were being burned. Like if you look at the Wu Tang productions, the Wu Tang Clan, they were they were getting burned, and the reason they was getting burned is because they had faith in you know the wrong person, and the person they had faith in was actually the one holding them back. So that's neither here nor there. Jay, that's like what we call another story for another day. Jay, meaning Jay Z. Reasonable Doubt had a bunch of features on it from Mary J. Blige, etc., but Can't Knock the Hustle, and it's looked at as a classic. But here's the problem. The problem is this: Def Jam as a company was going through a whole new deal with Polygram to bail them out. So they were coming in for 25%. So they needed to make some noise and make things happen. They had just came out of the West Coast production thing by signing Warren G, so they can get some West Coast money. At the time, Dr. Dre and Death Row and everything, they were wanting to get a piece of that bubble. So by signing, Warren G in the late '90s or the early '90s, they were making a mark for themselves. That put a lot of strain on the people involved, a lot of the party members. But it also was a wake up call for a lot of people involved because the era of music was changing. And what Def Jam had and the artists they had on their roster, they weren't able to, you know, propel them to new heights. The heavyweight hitters weren't hitting anymore. Method Man was not really selling records. Um, he wasn't making another album. He was pretty much doing his Wu Tang thing. And Keith Murray was, off and on with legal troubles and all this other stuff he had going on. But they needed something fresh. So signing rap labels to a partnership, with Rockefeller Records, because they refused to sign Jay Z as an artist. Jay Z was more than willing to sign as an artist and go over to Def Jam. But by having his own record label, which he was a partner in with Rockefeller Records, they did a distribution deal and said, hey, we'll sign on and partner with you so that way cost and expense, it's not all on Rockefeller Records books. Uh, Def Jam's gonna fork over, some money for them. So basically, they do work for Def Jam. Def Jam had final approval rights on a lot of different material that they had that came out. They really didn't have any right of refusal. So they get to a certain point, if they hit benchmarks, when it comes down to renegotiation, they'll be eligible for larger increase in salary. But before we got there, Leor Cohen knew how talented Jay was. And they liked Jay. Russ liked Jay, but never thought he'd sell a record. He just thought he was a dope MC that wasn't just gonna be able to be understood by the public. Leor Cohen just knew that this is a smart mother effer. That's just how he looked at it. And he was more hands on with Jay Z than Russ ever was. Russ wasn't really running the company no more after they did the Polygram deal. He was just basically the face. They basically sold it and became the Def Jam Music Group. And once they did that, Russ was done. Leor was pretty much in charge of the group, and Russ would just basically be the face. He was more into fashion at that time, going into Fat Farm and Baby Fat. That's was his goal. The Def Jam record thing was like the thing of the past. I was like looking back at some things he had done in the past. So Leor's running things, and Russ is still like the face of it. So they kept that facade going, but Leor was the guy. He was the one making those decisions. Now, when you look at it all together and you mix it all up, put it in a bowl, what do you have? You have a talented artist in Jay who couldn't sell records. So, as a person in business, for the question that was asked to me, if you're a businessman, would it have been wise to sell Jay Z or buy Jay Z at the time as an artist, promote him, and put all this money into his records? And if it wasn't for Biggie, if it wasn't for Big, they wouldn't have been able to be seen. Him doing the song with Biggie Smalls, just being around Biggie, and the talk of them doing the album, the commission, and all of that propelled people to take a look at Jay Z a little different. People in New York didn't even know who this guy was, and now he's the Hawaiian Sophie, the drug kingpin, Jay Z. So, well, when you run that, angle, that's pretty much where the way they're gonna look at you. To them, this is the scenario. That's not going to change. People are always looking to better themselves or move in a different trope or do something that people think is different. But making volume one and volume two and all those things, that was just different. The culture was different. Did they think they were changing the world with Jay Z? No. Leo just like Jay. And in the beginning, Dame was cool. And then it just got to the point where the success came. And you basically see who people are once they have success. Then you know, okay, that's them. You know. And sometimes you can get full of yourself and just be real ego driven, and they call ego tripping. And then you see your people, your peers that you've been knowing, and they know you acting different, and then they can pull you back down to ground level. You'd be like, oh, okay, I was tripping. I don't know what I was thinking. Intelligently making that kind of assessment is dangerous, but I would always put other people in a different boat. Like other artists, like Jay was great with them as a person, but they was like, man, this dude's too smart to be a rapper. That's how Leo saw him. Leo saw him as this guy understands business. Like this guy could run the company more than just rap. Like, and it's like, yeah, this dude raps. To me, he's one of the best rappers. That's what Leo would say. But would anybody be able to see that? Because it's more his style didn't fit. But when Big had him, that's how he got on. It was too big. The Def Jam deal never would have got done if Big was alive. I don't. Well, I won't say that. I will just say because Big was still cool with him. Them doing that deal with Def Jam, I mean with Rockefeller, would have worked out perfect for Jay. You know, if Big still was alive, because Big would have been on the songs, been on the records. Because at that time they had Keith Murray, who was cool with, and Keith Murray wasn't really signed with Def Jam. He was only with Eric Sermon in the Def Squad because Russell Simmons signed him. So he was always in the Def Jam offices because of what was happening. He's on Def Jam Vendetta, but he was really with Jive Records, I believe. And then he was like off brand, but he was always in the Def Jam. He's on Def Jam Vendetta, the basketball game. But he was never really signed to Def Jam like that. Redman, uh, he was signed and took his Def Jam contract. Uh, no, not too really. Jay was just somebody they felt was different. He didn't smoke weed. He barely drunk, and if he did, he drank the best of the best. He was drinking Cristal everywhere and popping the champagne. He was flamboyant, and it was like, man, if only people would like the songs he put out. Like this dude could rap. So Leo really believed in him. So when they wanted to sign the deal, it was good business, for him. Like, man, he's the next king of New York. Everybody ready to crown this guy because he's the big kingpin who was right next to Biggie. Nas just did about 3 million, like 2.7 million sales. So it's like at this time, Nas is king. He's ruling. Reasonable Doubt barely sells 300,000 copies. Coming out the gate. That's about what it did all the way around, and it's got Biggie on it. It's mad disappointing. But don't nobody know Jay-Z. He's basically an unknown. But he has all these features on the album. And then his Nas just blow down the door with like almost 3 million records sold. So when Jay-Z's album comes out, this volume one, they was like, okay, this is it. Everybody's waiting on Jay. Jay is supposed to blow the door wide open. With all this new investors and money coming in. Jay was supposed to blow everything and wow everyone. He's had production by Puffy. It was a project that just went left. He had bad selection, bad choices in songs and music and beat. But to me, I think Volume 1 is a very solid effort. Um, Volume 2 almost never got made. Def Jam was thinking at that time of pulling the whole plug at the Volume 1's failure. So they was like, look, Biggie ain't around no more. And you used to be Biggie's best friend. For even he said so, like you're one of his closest friends. And he's not here no more. And it doesn't look like the people are gravitating to you. You're supposed to be the next one. Like maybe we made a mistake in grabbing Jay and signing his record label. So Rockefeller is going through a change. Chris John is gone. Watching my life go down, 'cause I'm a hustler. They were the first hit record on Rockefeller as an artist. Then, to top things off, Sauce Money is getting ready to leave. Sauce Money just had an opportunity because of the song he wrote for Puff. When he wanted Jay-Z to write the song, he gave it to Sauce Money. And Sauce Money wrote the song, I'll Be Missing You, which ended up becoming a multi-platinum successful hit and set up Sauce Money major Sony record deal. So he was feeling really good. Even though it was business, Jay wasn't too cool with that. Because at this point in time, it wasn't a good idea or a good deal to be at Rockefeller Records. So during this time, there's a lot of changes being made, a lot of arguing, because they're like, man, our roster is thin. We don't even have a crew. We just basically got Jay. And Jay is thinking, I was supposed to be in the commission. I was this close. He was about to get out, fellas. He was looking for a way out. He was like, I'm going to retire. The whole retirement thing was, I just tired of going through this business side of it and this headache side. I'm just going to write for people and just do what Def Jam really wanted me to do. And what he wanted to do was get out of Rockefeller at the time. See, everybody's like, man, Jay-Z was an owner. He was on Rockefeller, though. No, he had partners. And he kind of just felt like, okay, I got to pay partners, and we're just not going anywhere. So being an owner, is not really panning out because his music isn't selling, and this album went platinum, and it was a failure. because they're looking at Nas, they're looking at what Big and Pac put out. You got Tupac screaming Jay-Z's name on mixtapes. You got Big last words, basically. Last interview, he's mentioning Jay-Z. And Jay-Z wrote that, wave. He's the new man. The city is mine. He's proclaiming the crown, and the people was insulted by that. It was far too soon. Big had just passed, and you trying to say the crown is yours. And Nas is different. Nas didn't move that way. He was more of a humble man, while Jay was more braggadocious. Volume 2 came with the blowing up of DMX. DMX is the man that saved Def Jam, not Jay-Z. People got to get off that trip. Ja Rule and DMX came through the door selling more records than Jay-Z. Everybody keeps talking about Reasonable Doubt. I mean, Volume 2. Like, that started Jay-Z's career. No, it did not. Volume 1 did not sell 1 million records at the time. It sold like about really 780,000. Did not sell 1 million copies. They still threw a platinum party. And I don't know if it's probably over 1 million now with streaming and everything, but at the time, it did not sell 1 million records. Back when albums were selling 1 million records, they were looking at double platinum status. They thought, okay, this album's gonna at least sell 2 million to 3. This was Def Jam's like expectations out of this album. They heard some of the songs that they performed. He worked with Puff and the Hitman so they could make some commercial songs for radio. And Sunshine was just god awful. And people who mess with Jay-Z was like, what is this Sunshine crap? I mean, seriously, they was really like, what are you? I don't even understand what this is. I know somebody that liked that crap song. Now, me personally, who hates the song, I knew right away this is going to be a situation where it hurts. Right? It's going to hurt for certain people to say certain things. It's going to hurt. I knew it. Because I remember hearing myself say it. I said, this is going to hurt the industry. Because X came and blew everything off the hinges. And ever since then, the world was upside down. Left became right, right became left. So Russell Simmons had a plan. Putting Jay-Z, DMX, everybody together. Leor Cohen was basically, instead of saying Russ, I meant to say Leor. Leor had this plan of putting them together to make it all work. So, if Volume 2 failed, oh God, it was all over with. That was going to be that was Jay-Z's last go. Because Def Jam really were like, okay, we really don't need Jay-Z. We were going to just get Jay to write for Fox. Foxes can make her songs work, and her body, everybody wanted the lyrics. Everybody focused on her body. So they can, go in that way. on that trope. I personally didn't understand it. I thought it was a little premature, tad bit juvenile. But that's how people was moving back then. Puffy gave up on Jay immediately. After that flop, he basically was like, well, you get yourself hot, then you can holler at me. But I ain't gonna have nothing to do with no more anything. And Jay was basically wasn't dealing with Puff. Then when Volume 2 hit, 4 million records sold. Hard Knock Life, one of the biggest songs, and like all these other hits with DMX, Swiss Beats, and yeah, man, these are crazy times back then. So the record business was like the Wild Wild West. Stuff was done last minute. You know, Puffy missed out on signing DMX. We've already done that. It's a lot of stuff that people just didn't know. But it is what it is. But I'm gonna get out of here. I've taken up a lot of y'all time. I took too long to answer one question. So let me get out of here. Don't forget to go to the Patreon. Carcino for Life Patreon. You'll see it in the banner. Thanks to everybody who super chatted and showed love. I appreciate you. Even though, they're not getting the notifications out to people. Can you please make sure that you're subscribed and hitting the notification bell? Even though you're saying you're subscribed, and I know you, I believe you. Go check again because they doing a whole bunch of dirty stuff over here. So I just want to make sure everybody's getting their notifications, and you know, it is what it is. So I'm gonna holler at y'all. Y'all have a great rest of y'all day. God bless. I'm out.